वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Welcome to the 64th episode of Sikhi Speaks. Sangatji, we are going to talk about motherhood today. Motherhood is an experience that is considered one of the most fulfilling phases in one's lifetime. It is the most celebrated phase. However, it is also the most challenging one. But what exactly is motherhood? Is it limited to being a biological mother? What are the virtues and the challenges of being a mother? To discuss such important questions in the light of Gurbani and Itihas, today we have with us Bibi Navrup Kaur. We all know her by the name of Sikhmum. She's a mother of two girls and two boys and is on a mission to spread awareness about Sikh parenting. Penji is constantly offering seva in the field of Sikh parenting in any way she can. She runs a WhatsApp group where any Sikh women can join, and for inquiries related to parenting, motherhood, pregnancy, and any help that she needs. We are so obliged to have Penji with us today. Let us welcome Penji Navrup Kaur.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh ji. Penji, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Penji, before we start pouring in questions related to parenting, we would love to know why Sikhmum? What is the vision behind it?
So when Sikhmum evolved actually very naturally, very organically. I didn't set out on a mission to do this. I became a mother very quickly after getting married, and I was going to have a baby in a town. I was going to have a girl in a town where Sikhi was not very flourished. So you couldn't see any Bibiya with the stars. There was hardly any Amritaris, and the Gurdwara were very kind of basic. They weren't offering anything apart from kind of the basics that you get from most Gurdwara. And when we were going to places like the Midlands, and we were going to kind of other towns where Sikhi was really, really growing, and there was a lot out there for children to see, I realized I have to do so much in my own home to expose my child to Sikhi, because she's not going to get it from anywhere else. So that's when I was doing camps at home. We were taking her to places where there were Bibiyawe and the Sara, so this was normal for her. We were talking about Sikhi all the time. I mean, we had Vismad. We never ever watched any TV apart from Vismad films, so like by Taru Singh, Sundari, Jar Sebzade. So she was being exposed to this from when she couldn't even speak. And so it just kind of evolved from there. And then I got pregnant again. And a lot of people started to say to me, a lot of the activities you're doing with your children, the way you're encouraging them, I could really benefit from that. Can you help me? Can you tell me? So I started sharing it. And then I started putting it on my personal Instagram. And then my husband had already launched Seek Dad, where he was talking about being a hands-on dad, trying to support your wife with parenting and being very conscious in your parenting. And so a lot of people were already saying to me, Sikh Dad's already there, why don't you become Sikh Mum? So it wasn't my idea, it was the Sangat's idea. And so that's how it happened. And then I took on the name Sikh Mum, and I just try to share as much of my journey as a parenting, the good things and the bad things, with the Sangat, so people know that the challenges are there and we're all going through them, and parenting is hard. Together we can learn from each other. So that's how it evolved. I mean, the vision behind it, and it in this order, is learn, inspire, share. I want to learn from the Sangat around me. I want to learn from my Guru. I want to learn from my Sikh history. I want to be inspired and then use what I've learned and been inspired by to inspire others through my social media. And then, and sharing that with everybody so then they can go on to share it. And then hopefully we can build some consciousness when it comes to raising Sikh children.
So beautiful, Fancy. So we do see so many Sikh mothers who cannot find the appropriate environment for their children. And you definitely are an inspiration for every such woman.
I don't think, I wouldn't say that I'm, an expert in it. I have so much to go in terms of my own Sikhi, my own spirituality, but isn't that the journey that all mothers should be on, that we should be trying to better ourselves for our children? And in doing that, it can be a journey that we share together. So there are a lot of mums that I take inspiration from, and they inspire me every day, but I'm just the one putting it out there. So, I shouldn't really be taking the credit for it. But I am inspired by many people to share whatever I'm learning.
So, if you're talking about inspiration, what aspects of Itihas, so if you talk about Itihasic mums, Itihasic Sikh mums, what from them or who inspired you?
So when I was growing up, I was born and raised in a Punjabi household, but no one was practicing Sikhs. We never really read Sakhis or learnt about Sikh history the way I teach my children. But my mum and dad did kind of expose me a little bit to, a few Sakhis here and there. And the one that's always stayed with me is Bibi Navrup Kaur. But Bibi Navrup Kaur didn't stay with me the way, when I think about it in terms of motherhood, it didn't resonate with me on that level. It resonated with me on a different level. But now, when kind of thinking about who I have been inspired by now, as in like the last 11 years of me embracing Sikhi, I would say that Bibi Navrup Kaur is still there at the top of the list for me. And because she never was a biological mother herself, she held that role from the age of 5 years old. And what a karam that she had to do that. And when I think about, Mata Sahib Gorji saying, she never actually gave birth, but she mothers us all every day. And, Mata Tripta Ji, she, without her, we wouldn't be here. And Mata Kiwiji as well. So there are so many from our history. There's so many today, in present day as well, that inspire me. But when I think about my childhood, I think it always goes back to Bibi Navrup Kaur, and I really had to reflect on that when we kind of were talking about our, who is this person for me. And I realized that she was somebody in Sikh history that, yes, I was taught about from a young age, but actually she stayed with me all the way throughout and is still standing there now, which I think is really, really profound. And we have so much to learn from her.
But see, the names that you just mentioned, Bibi Navrup Kaur, and we all know this has that they were not, as you mentioned, the biological mothers. So, what is motherhood then? Is it limited to being a biological mother?
I think that our history shows us that's a no. That question, that question. You don't have to give birth to someone to have the attributes to be a mother. When I think about what the virtues and the responsibilities of a mother is, you can think about Bibi Navrup Kaur. She never was a mother herself to her own children, but she mothered her brother. She protected her brother from her father. She took care of him after she got married. And, she also mothered, when Guru Sahib went to do his dasis, she was supporting Mata Sulakani ji to look after, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Sahibzade. So it's, when you think about it from that aspect, she never gave birth to anyone, but she still held all of those attributes of a mother, and she practiced those in everyday life. And even when you think about Mata Jito Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji's wife, she lost her 4 biological sons. And when she, when she found this out, our Guru said to her, don't cry, because you've got all of these sons and daughters around you that you are, they are your children, they're in your God. And if you think to yourself about people who miscarry, people who lose their children, it's really, really quite profound when we use that as an example. I mean, it's easy for me to say that because I've not lost a child, but if, when we try to use our history to support us and to guide us and to give us balance, these examples are all there for us. Even Bibi Hasharan Kaur from our history, if you think about her, she went to take our shaheeds. She wanted to give them a proper burial. She was using, that love and compassion and that, all those kind of attributes that we talk about having as a mother. She used, in those moments, they were welling up for her. She could not contain herself. She had to do something for her brothers. Is that not motherhood? That love, that unconditional love, that you sacrifice yourself for your child. So there's so many examples of where, being a biological mother is an amazing gift. To go through birth, I talk a lot about birth, and it's a taboo subject in our in our culture, but birth is a truly spiritual experience. And if we experience euphoria through Naam Bani, then I'm going to say that birth is the same. You can feel the same thing in that moment when you give birth. But like we're saying, not everybody has that opportunity, unfortunately, and that's their karam, to not give birth. But you can still be a mother even without. I mean, there's adoption now is available to us. There's so many orphanages out there. There's so much we could be doing as Sikh mums, but not actually giving birth to somebody.
Since you're talking about virtues, as you just mentioned, what are the virtues as per Gurbani and Itihas of a Sikh mother?
So the virtues of a mum are rooted in the way I describe Waheguru, because Waheguru loves us unconditionally and mothers love unconditionally, and Waheguru gives us everything that we need, putting us first, and that's what a mother does. We do advance to Waheguru for everything that we want, and that's what our child does. They ask us for things, provide those things according to how we feel is what is right for them, and that's exactly what Waheguru does. The role of being a mother is so parallel to that of God. It's a shame that it's abused in a lot of ways in some places by people, because it really is a divine power that we have been given as women. I mean, along with kind of, your every conscience, your conscience needs to be alive and pulsating every minute with the drive to, teach your child Sikhi, teach them part, teach them how to respect, teach them about Re, teach them about Bani, but not just teach them those things, not just put a pratika on a child and think your job is done. You need to tell them why. And this is why we see so many young boys and girls who, and I was one of them, who end up cutting their hair because they are told they have to keep their hair, but they're not told why. They're not told the power of the gears. They're not told how this connects them to everything. And that goes the same with all these different things. So the virtues of a mum, have to be rooted in that passion, also in that compassion, that love that Waheguru has for us, that we have for our children. I mean, there's many, many things that I could say when it comes to the virtues of a mother, but I think if you wanted to kind of just do a blanket answer that for me that would kind of say what it is. You want to know, if you want to be a good mum, what do we need to do? We need to treat our children how God's treated us. And for me, that is the foundation of motherhood.
Unconditional love, support, role of a teacher. Like there's so much.
Yeah,
Somewhere, do you think that a mother is more of an inspiration to their children?
absolutely. Children see, children do. What a child sees, they will do. If the child sees that their mum is in front of the TV all day, the child will sit in front of the TV all day. If the child sees that the mother is doing seva for people, the child will want to do seva. If if the child is seeing that the mum is going to the hairdressers, the child is going to want to experience going to the hairdressers. So I remember when I was when Simako, my eldest, she's 11 now. I remember a time when I was tying my dastar. She was sitting on the bed, and I was tying my dastar, and she just started to get whatever kapra was on the bed, and started to try and tie it. She was
Very true.
mimicking me. You know, and I never quite understood this, but for when I decided to wear my dastar before I embraced Sikhi, before I became a mother, before I got married, someone said to me, you wearing a dastar and you taking, receiving Amrit from the Guru, you are going to change your generational line now. And I never understood what that meant. And I remember speaking to my husband about it, and I said, this, do you remember this, Dal? And he said, yeah, I remember. And I said, do you know what it means? And he said, what it means is that because your karam was changed because you come into Sikhi, or maybe that was going to be your karam from the beginning, but because you had made that choice to embrace Sikhi, to have Sikhi food and everything, then you have changed what your children will look like, what your daughters will look like, what their lifestyle will be like. Otherwise, the lifestyle you were living before, that's what the generations would have continued to do, because you're the mum, you're the one who sets the standard in the house. And it's so true. I have seen that happen. I set the standard in my house. And it's not because, there's no balance between husband and wife, or I'm the more dominant one. It's not about that. The children spend more time with the mother anyway. So they will do what they see their mother doing. And the goal of raising your children like that, with that consciousness, is when I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, if I get a little bit angry or I get really cross or something, my children will say to me, you shouldn't have fraud. They will point it out to me now, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I feel like I got little spies around me all the time. So it's good because it's making me so conscious about these children teaching me. They're like little gurmukhs, because they're so pure in their thinking. They're going to take on everything you teach them. Now, when I was growing up, I grew up around a lot of meat, shrub. I grew up around a lot of that kind of environment, and that was very normal for me. When we have taken we don't take our children to those kinds of environments, but when we are in an environment where it's kind of that atmosphere, or we've fallen into a place like that or something, my children feel very uncomfortable. That makes me know that they feel uncomfortable because they are taking their guru to a place that the guru doesn't belong. So it's about what you set from that standard you set from the very beginning, and whatever you are setting as that standard, your children will follow it. It's up to you to nurture them, to explain to them why, to teach them that this is not just something we do, but this is why we do it. This is what's missing in becoming parents now. And that's why a lot of parents worry, oh, my child wants to cut their hair, my child wants to do this. Now, my children may grow up and they may say they want to cut their hair, but at least I know 100% I did everything I could to try and help them embrace it. That was my job. And I did my job. And I can stand in front of Dharam Raj and I can say, you gave me the seva of being a mum, and this is how I did it. I may have made mistakes, but this is how I did it, and this is what ended up. And the rest is their karam. So as mothers, we always need to be thinking about, what am I doing? What is my language? Am I using swear words? Am I using hateful language in front of my children? What am I exposing my children to? If I think about their senses, Guru Sahib talks a lot about senses in Gurbani. If we think about what is my child hearing? What kind of music? What kind of sounds? What kind of words are they hearing? What kind of words are they saying, or are they being exposed to that they then might say? I've always encouraged my children just to listen to Gurbani and to listen to Path, to listen to Kirtan, listen to Katha, even if it's in English. And this has had a big effect on them. But what if I was exposing them to something else? If I'm exposing them to something else, then they are going to follow whatever they're learning in that way. So, it's really, really important that we're really, really mindful about how and what we are exposing our children to. And that includes, our own emotions. As a mother, if I'm acting jealous, and it happens, yeah, I can be a jealous person. But if I realize I'm being a jealous person, I need to stop for my children, because I don't want them to take on that behavior, which they want to naturally have because they have jealousy between each other. But it's about kind of controlling that and really allowing them to channel it. Same with like anger, if they're feeling very angry, it's about helping them to channel those emotions that they're feeling. Because again, our children aren't with us all the time. We can only teach them what we teach them as a foundation at home. But when they go to school, college, university, they go to other households that aren't following Sikhi, they're going to be exposed to these things. And that's when we have to be their anchor for them, as Gurbani is for us. Our Reith is our anchor. It lets us not go too far away from our Guru. And we have to think of ourselves as that for our children, where their anchor. When they go to school, they learn something, they come back, they tell us, and say to them why this is wrong. And I'm going to give you an example of this. In my husband and I, we never swear. Never. We never use any bad language at all. And we always try to speak sweetly. We don't fight between each other, things like that. And my daughter, she just started high school. And every day when she comes in the car, I say to her, I say Fatah to her, how are you? You okay? And I say, what happened today that was Kaljug? Or I say to her, what happened today that was anti-Gurmat in your mind, in your heart? And everybody says the same thing. Everybody swears, Mummy. Everybody swears. And so and she said, Mummy, I can't stand it. And so, then I started to give her some techniques. Every time someone, and what she said to me is, when people swear, the swear word stays in my mind. It stays in there. And I said to her, okay, I want you to do visualization. You need to say Vaiguru. You need to push Vaiguru into your head and push the swear word. And every day I say to her, how did the technique work? Is it working? She says, yes, it's working. Because it's up to me to make sure that I don't make things that are not normal to her. I don't make them, they don't become normal. So every day when she's talking to me, I'm reminding her that this is not normal. And as Gursikhs, we don't expose ourselves to this kind of thinking. So we need to push those things out of our mind. So when I say that we are the anchor, that's what I mean. We're the anchor. We have to really, really be talking to our children about what they are exposed to. That will help them to control and keep their mind, keep their path clear towards Guru.
That is so good. I mean, that is so deep. How a mother can actually teach Gurmat to a child, a child who is actually going to teach it further, and how we can be conscious all the time. So it is kind of a two-way relationship. A mother teaches a child, and a child therefore teaches a mother.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
It comes full circle, and making sure your children know that as well. I mean, that is a part of conscious parenting. Now you're talking about, being really conscious all the time. And some people say, oh, I can't be conscious all the time. I'm fed. Sometimes I need to relax. If you signed up to be a Sikh mum, that's not a luxury you have. You need to be always conscious about your behavior. So it's really important we think about, before we become a mum, what kind of a mum we want to be. But that full circle is about saying back to your child, like your child thanks you with hugs and kisses and however they may. It's about saying to your child, thank you so much for reminding me. I didn't realize I was doing that. And you then are empowering your child. You're empowering your child to feel good that they are following something, and them doing that is strengthening the household. So it's a powerful tool, and we underestimate it, especially in our culture.
That's true. So she's talking about these virtues, these responsibilities and roles of a mother, or rather motherhood. Do you think these virtues, these responsibilities, basically motherhood, is limited to being a woman? We know now that it is not limited to being a biological mother, but is it even limited to being a woman?
Um, no, no, I don't think it is. Um, I think Guru Nanak Dev Ji held many virtues of a mother, and he had a lot of love, and he had a lot of compassion, and had a lot of sensitivity. And I think that culturally, not spiritually, but culturally, some along the lines, not just in our culture, but in around the world, it's seen that being a mother and is a job of a woman. Um, but if you think about what our guru offers us, you can see that the love and the affection and the nurturing that we get from our guru, the words that Guru Sahib uses when you do an ardas, or you think about some of uh, the sakyas in our history, and you see how much compassion there is from our guru, and you can understand that that gentleness that most people will kind of connect and think resonates just with a woman, that kind of biological woman, is that's their role, that's what they hold, and that then they hold that job. But it's not the case. I mean, we know some dads who have lost their wives and have taken on the role of raising young children, and I would admit they have to grow into some of those attributes and those virtues that come very natural to a woman, because that's how she is built. That's how a woman is built, to have that nurturing side, that maternal side. And I see it with my husband as well. Some things I will think about when it comes to mothering, he won't necessarily think about. But he is actually a very hands-on husband and very hands-on father. He can take care of the children. Um, but when I think about this question, the example I would like to give is my own father, because my mum, she worked very hard, and when I was young, she worked nights, and my dad worked in the day. And my mum would go off for nights, and then my dad would give us dinner, and he would put us to sleep, and then my dad would wake us up, he would give us tea. And there's this running joke in our family, because when my dad used to come into my room, and he used to have say, wake up now, your tea's here. And I used to get up like this with my eyes closed, half asleep, and I used to put my hand like this, and he used to just slot the cup in there like that. Then I used to drink my tea, and then I used to wake up. Then he used to get me ready. He used to do my gutna for me. Um, he used to make sure I was dressed up nice and then send me to school. And so for me, that's a prime example of some men, and men can have that ability, to hold those roles as a mother. But ultimately, if you want to be a Sikh parent, you need to be able to hold both. You need to know when to be harsh, you need to know when to be gentle. And you need to also know that nothing is permanent. You may lose a child one day, you may lose your partner one day, and you may have to take on certain roles that you are not expected to do in your life. And if you are not prepared for that, because you have not taken on the mental thinking that, I need to hold the same attributes as my husband has, and my husband needs to hold the same attributes as I do as a woman, then you're going to find it very difficult, which is why it's important to try and have a really good balance. And when you're doing that, Benji, that is setting a standard for your children as well. Because your children, if my, for a long time, I was very worried that Gurpreet Singh, he wasn't tying my daughter's dastard. And I said, what happens if one day you need to tie her dastard? What are you going to do? And he said, that's so true. So he started to practice how to tie a dastard, to tie patika. Now, if I had gone through all these years not bothering to do it, my children would just grow up thinking, only mum gets me ready, only mum does my dastard, only mum does my kesishnan, all these kinds of things. It needs to be something that is balanced between the two. And it's something we need to break away from in our culture, where we are thinking just a man does this and just a woman does that. There needs to be crossover. It's a very important to parenting and to Sikh parenting, I believe.
Absolutely. So this is a very novel perspective towards motherhood. So it is not limited to being a biological mother, and moreover, it is not even limited to being a woman.
And this example is set from our guru, and that's everything comes back to Nanak, Guru Nanak. Because the standard, the example has been set there for us. It's up to us if we follow it. It's up to us if we manipulate it. Some people want to manipulate it, use it in different ways to suit themselves. But the real strong message is that Sikhi holds everything. It's the treasure. It's the philosopher's stone. And it's up to us if we take from Gurbani. It's there to be taken. So it's up to us if we take it and put it into our everyday life. That's when we can call ourselves Sikh parents. It's not enough now to just say, okay, I'm not cutting my children's hair, but we're going to do this, all these other things, and we're going to go to Gurdwara on a Sunday. It's not enough to do that anymore and say, we're Sikh. Sikhi is so much more. It's every day. It's every minute. It's the air that you breathe. It's so much more consciousness. You have to be so conscious in it. You can't. A lot of people that I do a lot of Sage Part. I do a lot of Sage Part. Okay, you do a lot of Sage Part. How many shabads from the Sage Part are you taking, and you are applying it to your life? That's what we need to be thinking about, And where people say to me, "Oh, you're Nitinemi," and I say, "I'm not Nitinemi. I'm Nitinemi when I am embracing everything in the Nitinem and I'm putting it in my life." And that's the power of Gurbani. That's the good power of Sikhi.
So we live Sikhi. We don't just learn Sikhi.
Yeah, that's it. Everything.
So, Paji, if I ask you that you have brought to us a very, very different perspective of motherhood, like, why don't you redefine motherhood for all of us? If I ask you to define motherhood with this perspective, how would you do that?
So, understanding the gift of motherhood is massive. And I say that because not everybody can be a mother physically. But the biggest thing about understanding motherhood is to understand yourself. And before we become parents, we should be doing a lot of seva. We should be doing a lot of bhakti beforehand, because that's when that soul, that atma, is rolling around wondering where it's going to go. It's going to choose a home. It's going to choose a womb, a garab that is going to give them what they want. And if you are not prepared for this, this can create many challenges for you if you want to follow being a Sikh mum. But when we're talking about Sikhi when we're talking about motherhood and Sikhi from the perspective of, are you a woman? Are you a man? Did you give birth? Did you not give birth? The truth of it is that the main target should be that we should be always thinking to ourselves, regardless of whether we are a mother, we're not a mother, we're a husband or a wife, is that we are here to serve humanity, which is a reflection of God, and that we are here to raise children, whether they're ours or they're someone else's, whether that's doing this seva that you're doing, Benji, whether it's seva you do in camps, whether it's seva you're doing in the Gurdwara, whatever seva you're doing, you are exposing Sikh children to positivity of Sikhi. You're raising them to be strong, confident, educated, spiritual people that are going to go out into the world and make a difference, not just for the world, for the Panth, for the world. And with that thinking, I think that it doesn't matter if you're a mother or not. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. We should be walking around. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we should be walking around and thinking to ourselves, I'm a reflection of my guru, and everybody I come in contact with, I want them to see what my guru is. And
Right.
therefore, that makes you have to think about, how am I acting? How am I speaking? How am I treating people? And that is that not being a mother? Is that not, motherhood? Raising people, whether they're your children or not, raising the Sangat, raising their spirits, and teaching and growing yourself. It's a massive responsibility. I get that. I understand. But at the same time, it's so rewarding because, I think Paifodja Singh, I hear a lot of stories about Paifodja Singh, and a lot of people, he obviously did massive, seva for our Panth, and ultimately gave Shahidi for us. When people talk about him in his childhood, people say he was a very naughty child. He was a very naughty child. If we walk around telling every child that's naughty, I have a naughty child. She's not naughty. She's defiant. If I walked around every minute saying she's naughty, she will grow up and her naughtiness will not be channeled in the right way. I say she's strong-willed. She knows what she wants. She's stubborn. This is how I want to channel her. Because who knows who she become? Because I'm using Shahid Fodja Singh Ji as an example of, let's look at the people in our history who have made a massive effect on who we are and who we are as a Panth, So as parents and as people in the Sangat, when you go to the Gurdwara and you see a child who's running around, don't look at that child or look at their parents and think that's a naughty child. You have no idea what that child is going through in the presence of Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji. You have no idea what spiritual connection they're going through in Guru's Darbar. If they're running around, you don't know what spiritual connection they are having. And for you to turn around and just say that child is naughty, they're disrupting, you are doing a disservice to the Panth, because instead you could be saying to that child, do you want to do something, Ajo? Show them how to do it, get them involved, make the Gurdwara, make the Sangat feel like family and home. And you don't need to be a man, a woman, a mother, a father, a granddad. You just need to be a member of the Sangat. And that is what being a Sikh parent is. It's about looking at every child, as Guru Gobind Singh Ji did, and saying, these are all my children. These are all my children, and I'm going to raise all of them to be strong and in Sikhi. So that's the effect that we can have, and we don't need to biologically give birth or be a woman.
Quite true. This particular perspective of motherhood, I am sure, can change the way we parent our kids. Can you please enlighten us? What are the ways, what are the aspects that you see would be benefited if we embrace this perspective of motherhood?
So, if we were to follow this, can you imagine how, when you think about, if you think about, Benji, where the last time you went to the Gurdwara, and did everybody know what they were doing? Was everybody, if you close your eyes and you think to yourself, did every man, woman, child in the Darbar Sahib know what was being said, what was happening, what the scheduling of the Darbar Sahib is? Did everybody know? No. This is just a starting point. So if we're raising our children with this consciousness of Sikhi, are they not going to be the ones who are going to be running our Gurdwara? But how are they going to do that if they don't know what's happening? So imagine if you are a parent and you are taking on this style of parenting that I'm talking about, we will be raising walking pracharaks. We're going to be raising walking sevadars, and that is going to have a massive, profound effect on the Panth in the future. But the work has to start now, because we are, as a Panth, we're already so behind, and this is why there's so much trouble in India and other places in the world. The diaspora is growing very strong when it comes to Sikhi, but the non-Sikhi side, the Punjabi side, is growing too. So we, as Sikh parents, we have to really, really start to step up our game, should I say, in raising strong children who know about Sikhi, who know what it's about. We shouldn't be scared to answer these uncomfortable questions about Sikhi. Some of the questions I never had. Why can't I cut my hair? If someone had answered that question for me when I was growing up, I probably would not have cut my hair. If it was told to me with passion and love and humility, if I was told that, I probably wouldn't have cut my hair when I was growing up. If someone had told me why I shouldn't drink sharab, if someone had said to me, Guru Gobind Singh Ji is our master, he's beautiful, he loves us so much, this is what he's done from 9 years old, he's served the Panth, he's done this, he's raised armies, he's fight. If someone said to me, and today he told you not to drink sharab, I would have given up sharab then and there. If someone had said it to me like that. But I never had that exposure. So we can't also blame those children. But now we have to say, now we can't blame those parents, because they were never told. So you see how the cycle will continue and get worse, this is why Gurpreet Singh and I, we're trying to do this with Sikhmum, Dad. There are other, charities, Basics of Sikhi and, Khalsa Foundation and, Share Charity UK. These UK charities are trying their best to educate those parents so they can take those steps now, so they can raise their children, and we can start this journey together. And it's a hard journey and it's a long journey, but the rewards in years to come will be massive. They will be absolutely massive on a Panthic scale, but on an individual scale, I want to say it's going to be massive, because when I look at people in my family, and they say to me, how am I going to stop my child from having girlfriend boyfriends? And I said, I can't have girlfriend boyfriend. And there's one particular person said to me, I can't stop that because I've not really got a reason, because I too had a boyfriend and then I married my boyfriend. So how can I say to my child, you can't do that? And I feel like Sikhi gives us the answers. Guru Sahib says one of the karets is not to, have a relationship with anybody, apart from your partner, your married partner. So Guru Sahib put these, people say, oh, they're rules. They're not. It's a guide. It's a rope that we're holding on to that's keeping us in this path that separates us from other people. Following Sikhi gives us the answers that we can give to our children that maybe we won't have if we're not following Sikhi. Do you see where I'm going with that? I don't know if I explained that very well. But for many, many times, my child has said to me, why don't we go to this place here? And I said, well, people are drinking there. What happens if the drink gets mixed up with yours? What happens if someone spills a drink on you? I mean, there's so many things that you could be saying. Guru Sahib says we need to stay away from these things. It alters your mind. How can you be jumping Naam 24/7 if your mind is altered? And I said, even the smell of sharab, that can have asr on you, And so I said, you need to be really conscious of these things. And with Guru Sahib Kirpa, my children, so far, they are very open with me. They ask me questions, they challenge me, and I'm always ready to answer those questions for them. What they follow is going to be their own karam, but I have to do my job. But I think that if we followed this style of parenting, this mindfulness, this consciousness, it can have a really big effect. I mean, even I talk about the clothes that we put our kids in. I don't know about in India, Benji, but in the UK, there's a style of clothing for girls. They have t-shirts, they're covering the whole body, and then they say things like "kiss me," or rude things like that, which maybe to an average person it might not be a big thing, but when it comes to conscious parenting, what message are you sending to your child and to the people around them when they're wearing these clothes? There's another T-shirt my daughter saw, and it said something like, "I don't listen to you," or "I don't care about you," or something like that. And I said to her, "What do you think of this?" And she said, "I don't think it's very caring." I said, "No, it's not." And I said, "If you're wearing that, you will be thinking like that, and other people will be thinking that of you. The clothes that we wear, even that is conscious parenting, even down to the clothes you wear, will have an effect on the mental state." So it's not easy, like I said, to follow this, but if you're already doing it, if it's already a mindset for you, then it will be okay. And there's lots of support networks out there to support. And anybody out there who's thinking of following Sikhi or want to encourage their children to come into Sikhi, you can totally do it. You do Ardas to Guru Sahib and you could do it.
Beautiful, Fancy. So, how parenting can absolutely change the phase of future, or Panth where it is going. So, Fancy, you are a very experienced person, a very experienced mom. What how can you help us with some practical steps that all of us can take to embrace this motherhood in our lives? So you have been raising children of all ages right now, so you're dealing with them all at once. Hats off to you. So what are the practical steps that you would guide us with that we can embrace?
I'm really glad that you asked that question, Benji, because I think before we think about becoming a parent, it's really important that we make set decisions about the type of parents we want to be. And that will include, I was talking about the senses. So, think about as a parent, what do you want to, or what do you not want to expose your child to? You need to think about the places that you're going to take them. You need to think about the routine that you're going to be keeping. When I say routine, I'm talking about a red. What kind of a red are you going to be keeping, and which is going to support you as a person and as a parent, and the diet that you keep. And you have to do this together as a couple. And the reason I say that is because I have many mothers and fathers, different, who contact my husband and I, and they often the issue they have is relating to my husband eats meat and he cuts his hair, and I don't eat meat, and my son doesn't eat meat, and my daughter doesn't eat meat, and we don't cut their hair, but they keep asking me why dad is allowed. And that causes confusion for the child. And it's really important that before you become parents, you are having these kinds of discussions. What do we want? What message do we want to send to our children? This is the biggest thing. First of all, I would say, as a couple, decide what type of parents you want to be. If you are on a journey and you're finding your way, that's okay. Tell your children that, but mean it. So if you are cutting your hair and you don't have the strength, I know what it's like to grow your gears, especially if you're a woman, facial hair, body hair. And speaking to my husband, for him it was very easy to grow his gears after he had cut it. But I know for other people that it can be a challenge, especially maybe in the workplace or of other pressures around them. And it's okay to say, you know what, I do want to keep my gears. I do want to follow some sort of red. We, set yourself some targets. By the time I hit this stage or this year, this time of the year, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. And when your child then confronts you and says, well, why are you not allowing me to do this and you're doing it? Then you can say, look, I'm on a journey and I'm finding my way. But you have to mean it, because what will happen is, if you're still finding your journey 5 years later, your child's going to be thinking that's an excuse I can give. And their teacher will say to them, why haven't you done your homework? And they'll say, I'm on a journey. I'm still getting there. Children see, they'll copy that behavior. So you have to be so careful. So that's the main thing I would say. Other practical steps I would say would be that whatever you're going to do, start it from the beginning. If you're going to a lot of people I have spoken to, when Simra was very young, she was the only young girl who was wearing a hijab in our town. And many people said, why are you doing that to her? Why are you doing that to her like that? People would say it to me like they felt sorry for me. And I said, no, I'm doing it for her. I'm doing it for her. Like I changed it around. I said, I'm doing a service for her. I'm going to make her stand out. I'm going to make her somebody, And, a lot of these people said, I'm not going to, these are the star-wearing Bibia who were saying to me, I'm not going to keep my child's gifts. They need to make the decision themselves. And I said, I always say to them, she can make the decision herself too. If she wants to take the start off later, she can take it off. But she's going to follow what is in our house. Just like in someone's house where they have gutta, they will put gutta on their children. Just like in someone's house, if they are drinking sharab, their children will be drinking sharab when they grow up. In my house, we keep at the start. Everybody keeps at the start. And if they want to change and don't want to follow this line, they don't have to. It will hurt me. It will hurt me. It will break my heart. But I also know that is their life, that is their karam. And I've done my job. But the main thing is, a lot of these women now are saying, I can't get my child to wear the star. I want my daughter to wear the star, she won't wear the star. And, in my heart, I think to myself, the evidence is there that if you start from a young age, start them off wearing the star or wearing a patka or keeping their gears from the beginning, it's much easier than trying to do it when they're at a conscious age, because when they're at a conscious age, then let them make the decision they want to make. But if you're already starting them off, so the second part of your question, the second part of my answer would be, whatever decision you're going to make for your child, start it right at the beginning. And don't try and bring it in later on in life. Don't say to yourself, oh, I'll do it later. A lot of mums who I speak to, I say to them, read sakis to your children when they can't even read. Sit at the end of their bed and read them sakis all the time. One, it will make them a strong reader. And number two, they will get used to the words. They will become used to the lafaz that you're using from, the saki. They'll get used to hearing Good Nanak Dev Ji, Good Nanak Dev Ji, Good Nanak. They'll get used to hearing that all the time. And some mothers say to me, oh, they're too young. They're too young to hear that. Oh, no. They hear everything. At such a young age, they are exposed to everything. And the proof is in the pudding, as they say here in the UK, because when my 11-year-old was, when she was born, from when she started sleeping in her own bed, I was sitting at the end of her bed and I would tell her sakis all the time. Different sakis, I would tell her. She is now a very, very strong reader, My second child, I didn't do that with her. Sometimes I read, sometimes I didn't read, but mostly I didn't read. Her reading skills are not that strong. So I can see the difference. So start whatever you want to start right from the beginning. Expose them to Bart, expose them to camps, expose them to people that look like them. My children go to school where they are the only ones that look like them. When we go to the Gurdwara, when we used to go to the Gurdwara, they were the only ones that had the stars. Now there's lots of Bibi Navrup in the stars, which is nice. But, so whenever we had holidays, we weren't going to Greece, we wasn't going to the Bahamas or anything. We were going to camps. We were going to Sikhi camps, and they were spending time. And they now say, these are my Sikhi friends, these are my school friends. When are we going to see my Sikhi friends? The family, the Sangat they have, they know is different. The school Sangat is different, but their Sikhi Sangat is different. So, exposing them to all of that, exposing them all the time, and just giving them love. Talk about Sikhi with love, and be careful also about what you expose them to. There's a lot of negative Sikhi out there as well. So it's important that when you're talking to them about Sikhi, you just concentrate on the positives. And I guarantee you, if you do this, your child will grow up to love Sikhi so much that, they will teach you how to love Sikhi.
Beautiful, Sanjeev. Walking in this path is not easy. What are the challenges that one should be ready to face being a Sikh mom? And also, what are the challenges that you faced?
There are a lot of challenges. Some people have them, some people don't. I think challenge comes regardless. I mean, as a mum, regardless of whether you're a Sikh mum or not, there's challenges in parenting. You have behavioral issues, you have learning issues, you have balance issues. But for me, some of the challenges on me being a Sikh mum, and I gave like an example, when Mansimra was young, and some of my family members saying, why are you keeping a dastard on her? Why you're not, so family, friends, schools, they challenge you because they're asking you why you're doing this, why you're doing what you're doing. And it's up to you to be strong and be able to say, no, I'm doing this. And I think I was really lucky. My in-laws didn't really say that much to me because that would be a challenge in how I would respond. Not that I would hesitate to respond. I think I got more challenge from my own family. And I was able to say, this is the life I lead. I'm not taking my child to, somewhere where there's meat and flour. I'm not, my sister got married. She had a massive sister, and we didn't go to the reception. And a lot of people said a lot of things to me about that. A lot of people said a lot of things to my sister about that. What kind of a sister is she? She wasn't even at her only sister. She didn't even come to your wedding. But I'm really lucky. I really helped my sister to understand the reasons why I could not be there. And those reasons are not just my spiritual well-being, my vet, but also my child. I can't expose my child. I can't bend the rules for anyone. If you are making a decision to, follow a certain thing, following a certain path, there shouldn't be different rules for different people because you are then showing your children it's okay to have double standards, and our guru doesn't want that. So it has to be the same rules for so some of my cousins, I didn't go to their functions. Same, I didn't go to my sisters, and a lot of people thought, oh, she's going to go to her own sisters, but no, I didn't, because we have to be true to what we're following. So this is a big challenge for me, but with your heart and your mind strong on what you want to achieve, looking at the goal ahead of you, which is you want your child to be raised as a Gursikh, you need to think to yourself, no matter how much you love your family and your friends, they are not going to be there when your child or you have to answer to God. They will not be there. And you will not be able to say to God at that point when they say, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? You can't say, oh, because my mum wanted me to, because I didn't want to upset my mother-in-law. That's not going to be holding court, as they say. It's not going to be enough. So you have to be really strong in your thinking, and you need to be on the same path with your husband, that he knows that when you both will have a united front when it comes to this. Some of the other challenges, when you don't have a set routine, when you don't have set practices, then it's really, really hard to kind of put them into place afterwards. So if you're already following them from the beginning, and we talked about it in the last question. So for example, if you're not gonna eat, if you're not gonna have meat, then don't have meat in the house. If someone's gonna eat meat in the house, if someone in the house, a member of the family wants to eat meat, make a decision that, okay, you know what, you can carry on eating meat, but don't bring meat in the house. Let's not expose our child to this environment. You go outside and eat. Or, it could be, certain things like fart, for example. If a person is doing fart in the house, because these are all things that I'm hearing all the time, people asking me advice about. My husband eats meat, and the children keep asking me, I don't like him using the pandir with the meat in there, things like that. So if you are making these challenges are coming because you're not making decisions up front, um, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, what happens if you're both not Gursikh or have Gursikh thoughts, and then after you become a mother, which happens to a lot of people, when people become pregnant, then they start to think there's more to life and being a family person than just raising our children. I need to raise children with the belief in God. I need to raise them with the belief in Sikhi. I want them to love to go to the Gurdwara. And then that pyar starts to grow in one of the parents. And then it's like you're on different positions. If you're talking to your partner all the time and saying, look, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through, if you're taking them on that journey with you, it will help them to understand. And who knows, who ardas, they may come with you on that journey. But if you are just feeling all these things and you're keeping it inside yourself and you're not sharing it, there can be a lot of challenges that come later with that. The other thing I was going to say is it's really important to practice what you preach. It's so easy to say to your children, you have to learn Punjabi, and then you don't learn. And my dad always says to me, you have to speak Punjabi. And I've not spoken Punjabi here because my confidence in my Punjabi is not strong. But my son only speaks Punjabi. And because of him, the whole house has started speaking Punjabi. And my dad says, because of him, he's brought Punjabi into your house. And slowly, I feel our confidence is growing. And so I can't say to my children, go Punjabi school, and I'm not going to do it myself. So that's what I mean about practice what you preach. It's a journey. I'm still on that journey myself. And I long for us to be able to all speak Punjabi fluently and with confidence. And that's a challenge I had, in that my child was saying to me, why do I have to go to Punjabi school? We don't even speak Punjabi at home. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is so bad. Again, she is challenging me and reminding me. So, practicing what you preach, and one of the other biggest challenges, and I think that a lot of parents who are listening will resonate with me on this, is it's very challenging to find a strong balance between worldly and spiritual life. So the outside world and the Sikhi world. How do you find how do you find that balance? That is the question. That is a big challenge. And my own opinion, it doesn't have to be, it may not be right to some people, but for me, there should be no balance. Sikhi should always outweigh the worldly, because within Sikhi is everything anyway. Everything we talk about in the house, I relate it to Sikhi. Even if we're watching a movie together, I'll find something Sikhi in the movie for my children, because I want them to always be seeing Sikhi everywhere they go, in everything. So there are many other challenges, I'm sure. These are some of the ones that I have faced, and ones that people outside have contacted me and that they can to face.
So, see, these are definitely some challenges that all the parents face, all Sikh parents face. What is that one thing that as parents we must do, so that we can handle these challenges, we can face and we can overcome these challenges?
Ardas, I tell my children, everywhere you go, I want you to imagine you have a little toolbox. And I say to them, In that toolbox, this imaginary toolbox, is going to be all the tools that you need. My dad was a builder, so you know about tools and all this kind of things. And I always say to them, like Nanaji has his toolbox, you have an imaginary toolbox. In your toolbox, you are going to collect things that are going to help you to build whatever you want to build. So I always say to them, the one thing in your toolbox is ardas. You can pull your ardas out anytime you need it. And you don't have to know the full Panthic ardas. You can talk in English to Guru Sahib, you can talk in French to Guru Sahib, you can talk in any language you like to your Guru. You just talk to Guru and you just talk, that is your ardas. So to parents as well, I would say the biggest tool you have is your ardas. If you are facing a challenge, ask Guru Sahib for guidance and he will present you with guidance. It will just come up somewhere, or the problem will just solve itself. I guarantee you. That's how much power is in it. If your intent and your heart is pure, and when you're doing your ardas, you will find the answers. Having Benji, this is really important one. Having a really strong sisterhood support is massive. And the reason I say that is because there's so much competition between women in the world, not just in the Sikh community, but in the world. There's too much competition. Who's the prettiest? Who does the best fart? Who's looks the best? Who's the skinniest? Who is the most educated? Who has the best mullah? Even though you have the best mullah right now, Benji. But there's all these competitions going on between women. And you know what? It leads us nowhere. What I have learned is that when sisters are strong together, when they're supporting each other, when they're lifting each other up, that's when magic happens. That is how the country. And the same is with Sikhi. I've learned that there's some people out there. I remember we did a camp about 7 years ago. We did a camp at a local Gurdwara. It was the first time we ever did a camp at this Gurdwara. And I had a mic and I was giving everybody instructions on what they had to do. And this Bibi kept on coming up to me, this auntie ji, and she kept on saying to me, get my grandchild on the mic. He knows how to do Moorman that I want everybody to know. And I said, Auntie ji, there's lots of children here in Moorman. There are lots of children here that know lots of bard. If I put every single one on the mic, I said we would have no time for the camp. And I said to my son afterwards, I said, instead of saying, let's do Moor Mantar, my child would lead the Moor Mantar and then all the Sangat would do Moor Mantar together, the thinking was, I want everybody to know my child knows Moor Mantar. The difference in that thinking is massive. It's huge gap. So imagine if every time you needed to support, I remember there was in one of the Sikh mums groups, Benji, she messaged, she said, somehow my child has learned a swear word. Please don't judge me. Just tell me how to fix it because he keeps saying it. And everybody else on the group was saying, like, do this, do that, try this, try that. And she was so thankful. But she had somewhere to go to ask that question, And this is how that divine sisterhood, that godly sisterhood can really, really support us as mothers and the challenges that we face. How do we not know that if we are facing something in our home and we share it with another sister that we can trust, that person is not facing the same thing or has faced the same thing and can talk to you about how they have overcome it. So this is why sisterhood is really important. I do benefit to all the Bibia listening. Please, please, please don't do competition with each other. Look at each other and think to yourself, all of our children have to go to the same place. We all have to go to Dharmraj in the end. And at that point, we should be all wanting the same thing. And it comes back to you not being their mum. Somebody's mother to mother them. We should be what we want for our own children. We should want it for all the children. And through this divine sisterhood, this divine motherhood, we can achieve that together. We could face these challenges. I mean, many problems that are happening in the Panth and have been happening for years are, issues with in-laws, and the things that daughter-in-laws are facing, and infertility and abuse. Imagine you didn't have to keep quiet about these challenges, that you could go to someone and get your things off your chest, get some advice from somebody, how it can help your life. um, and the third thing I would say is always follow your heart, which in essence is following your guru. Your instincts are very strong. If you are having a challenge with something and your heart tells you you should be doing this, and your head is telling you should be doing this, following that, following your guru, following your intuition is always going to be the right answer. So this is what I have always done, and these three things have never done me wrong, and they've always supported me and my challenges in motherhood.
Thank you. This session has absolutely changed our perspective towards motherhood, parenthood, and what being a parent is. That is so, so amazing, Sanjeev. Thank you for that. So there are questions from Sangat. I will just quickly go through them if you can please answer them.
And
So the first question that came to us was, what age is good to become a mother?
it's a good question, and there really isn't an answer that is, I can say this is the right answer, because everybody becomes mother. It's hakaram when we become a mother, or if we become a mother, and ultimately it's up to Guru Sahib to make that decision for us. For me, what I would say is, before we get married, it's really important we know who we are. We really need to do a lot of internal searching, because I see a lot that we get married and we've done no personal reflection on our own life, and then we can get married into a household which is very unusual or very different, and we have to conform to that lifestyle if you're living with your in-laws, and challenges can set in for an individual because they don't really know who they are, so they take on the role that their in-laws want them to become. That's not always a bad thing, but if you don't know who you are and you become who someone else wants you to become, then who are you? You don't really know who you are. And how are you, as not knowing who you are, going to mother someone? How are you going to teach someone to become someone when you don't know who that someone is? So for me, I would say the journey of motherhood, starting to conceive, is not the start. The start is about you as a mother. You need to know who you are. You need to maybe travel the world if that's a possibility for you, to travel and meet different people. You need to try your best to do as much Nambani as possible. And when you get married and your husband and yourself are ready to start a family, having those really, really in-depth discussions about what kind of parents you want to be, how you want to raise your children, what environments you want to expose them to, and then let Guru do the rest. So for me, I had my first child when I was 28. No, I got married when I was 28. I had my first child when I was 29. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, so long ago. And for me, it was the right timing, because when I got married, I think I had gone through a lot. I had experienced a lot of challenges when I got married, and my daughter was sent to me by Guru Sahib. My husband and I always say she came and rescued me. She came and rescued me from the suffering I was going through. So whatever Guru decides is the right answer. I can't give you the right answer. All I can say to you is just know yourself. Then know yourself as know yourself, and know you're the person that you're having your grish jeevan with, your jeevan sati. Know yourselves as each other. Next week, Benji, in the UK, there's going to be a Sikhi Marriage Week. And the reason we are doing Sikhi Marriage Week as a seva from Basics of Sikhi Khalsa Foundation, Seek Your Mind, and Share Charity UK is because we're finding that a lot of people, they get married, and like I'm saying, they don't really know themselves, and then they get married, and then they have challenges in their marriage because they don't know each other, they don't know how to compromise, and then they have children, and then their children are raised in these very, very unstable environments. So becoming a mother and starting a family starts off much, much before you even think about getting married. It's about you yourself, knowing who you are and where you want to come from.
That is absolutely correct, Sanjay. That is needed. That meat is absolutely needed. There's another question, Sanjay. I'll just quickly go through it. I'm a mother of 2 years old. He won't be exposed to the world outside. What is it that I can do to make sure that he's not affected by anti-Gurmat activities?
It's a very, very good question. And it's a question that I had turmoil over with my first child because we kept her so contained. We didn't expose her to anything. And when she had to go to school, I was worried about, oh my God, are they going to give her meat? Are they going to give her fish? Are they going to make her listen to certain music? Are they going to do all these things? And trust, what I will say, and I believe this, is if you are exposing, if you have that unbalance, if your Sikhi at home is up here, whatever they get exposed to, you just, when they come home, you are just exposing them to more and more. So obviously ardas is the biggest thing, protect them in this Kaljug. But when they have a relationship with your child where when they do go outside into the world, when they want to come back and tell you about it, and when they tell you about it, that's when you are able to really, really just realign them, anchor them, bring them back. Tell them why those things are not good. Yard dinar. And that's really important to have that relationship with your child where they will tell you. Because some children, they don't, I worry about my second child. Will she come home and tell me certain things? Because of her nature, I don't know if she will. My eldest child, she does. She comes home to tell me everything. And then I'm able to support her through it. So it's about raising your children, and it depends on their personality as well, but giving them the opportunity to always talk to you about what they've seen today, what they've been exposed to. You might be really conscious about their behavior. You might notice that your children are not saying anything to you, but they're acting maybe a different way. I noticed that one of my children, she came home and she was like moving her bum in a certain way. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, oh, we learned it at school in PE, in physical education. We learned about dancing like this. I said, we don't dance like that. We don't dance. And she said, oh, what am I meant to do? I said, you just jump up and down. That's all you have to do. And she's like, okay. Children, they know. And then I said to her, moving your bum like that makes other people look at your bum. You don't want people to look at your bum, do you? And she said, no, I don't want anybody to look at my bum. So it's about being really conscious about what they're doing, what they're seeing, because they might not say it to you, but you'll be able to see it in other ways. And then you can bring them back and make them understand why this is maybe something we don't do or follow.
Absolutely. Clear communication is the key. So, third question here, Sanjay, is I have a teenage son. He used to be very interested in Sikhi and Gurmat, but now he is growing out of it and questions, why do I have to be different? I am being bullied about it and it hurts me a lot. What can I do as a parent?
Okay. So the first thing is I would probably question the parenting, because not in a negative way, but I would probably ask the parent, why does your child not understand the importance of being different? This is what I'm talking about. They should know this. Every day you should be talking about it to them. You should be talking to them about Paitaru Singh. You should be talking about Guru Gobind Singh Ji standing out in the crowd. You should be talking to them all the time. So when they get to a certain age like that, that's not a question that they will have, because they already have an understanding that I am meant to be different. It's ingrained in them. It's ingrained in them. So this child, obviously, it's not completely ingrained in them. They don't if they're being bullied, it's probably because they don't have confidence in their Sikhi rule. So, how many times, like my husband, I was telling my husband when I found out I was having a daughter, I said, when I was growing up, whenever I came down the stairs, my dad always used to say to me, "You look beautiful." Well, in those days I used to wear earrings because I wasn't into Sikhi, and he used to, if I wasn't wearing earrings, he would say, "Where's your earrings?" In Bakia, he used to say to me, and then I used to and he used to do that to me and my sister. Because he did that, I felt very I felt very validated. I felt valued um, as a woman, as a girl, because a male was saying it to me. Does that make sense? And I noticed that when we used to go out with our cousins and our other friends, they used to be trying to get a lot of male attention. But my sister and I, we didn't really used to do that. And now I know it was because I got the male attention at home. My dad was giving me so much male attention that I didn't need to get it from anywhere else. And so when I found out I was having a girl, I said to my Singh, I said, this is what my dad used to do. And this is why I didn't get into too much trouble when I was younger with, boys or anything, because I didn't really need it. I didn't really need that because I was getting it from my dad. So I said, it's really important every day you tell our daughters how beautiful they are. Oh, wow, the mullah looks so nice. Oh, look, you're the star. Oh, that lad is so perfect. He will say things like that to them now. And I now, having boys, I will say the same thing to my boys. Oh, look at my strong boys. Look at you. You're just, I will say things to them so they don't feel that they need it. Baro. And when we do that, we build their confidence. We make them feel good about the way they look. If we're not doing that, and that our child goes out into the world and people start to bully them about the way they look, then it's very natural for them instantly to go, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. But my daughter has faced many challenges. My daughters have. You may have heard of one of them. I mean, she was all over the news and all over the world, where she was racially abused. And I said to her, how do you feel? Someone, called you a terrorist because you're the star. And she said, they just don't understand. That was her answer. Right. She didn't think to herself, I'm different. Out of all those children, I got bullied. I got called this. In her head, she was like, it's their fault. It's not mine. Because she knew who she was. So to the person who's asked this question, it's really important, if you have other children, to make sure that you are nurturing their self-love, the way they love themselves, the way they love their Sikhi. They understand why they are meant to look different. Tell them the Sakhis, the hundreds of Sakhis about why we look different, why we are meant to look unique. We're protectors. We're there to protect people. In terms of him getting bullied, I can only imagine the pain that must feel. I mean, even I feel that pain now, knowing that there's a child of ours out there who is being picked on because of the way they look. That hurts me. So what I would say is, I think you need to get involved as a parent with the school or whatever authority or institution is involved, and make sure that that child feels protected. And from now, start to expose the child to as much Sikhi as possible in fun ways. Show them videos of Sikhi, sings, and there's so much out there. Basics of Sikhi have done an immense job with the kind of gatha there is out there in English and in Punjabi. Expose your child as much Sikhi as possible now. Start to talk to them about how beautiful they are, how their roop is the roop of their guru, and their guru is with them. But also at the same time, it's really easy for us to put shastar on and put our kirpans on every day, and then we don't teach our children how to use them. We don't teach our children how to fight. Somebody said this to me when my children were quite young, and I thought, oh my God, this is so true. So my daughters, they both go to kickboxing, and I know that if they were in a fight, they can protect themselves. We also need to give our children that skill.
Absolutely.
Our guru told us this, right? That we need to protect ourselves. So if you knew your child could protect themselves and they're being bullied and they can stand up for themselves, that will keep your man will become a little bit more shant, because you will know he can look after himself or she can look after themselves because I've given them that tool. So I hope that's helped. But start now. Start empowering your child now. And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through Sikhmum Instagram or Facebook, and I'm happy to support you a bit more and get you in touch with other people and other videos and things that your child can watch and read that may help them to build their confidence.
Thank you so much, Sanji. That helped all of us. Sanji, before we say Fateh to you, we would like you to give one message for the youth out there.
I thought about this question a lot. I thought about this message a lot, and we're talking about motherhood. But one thing I want to say to all the youth out there who will eventually become Sikh mums or Sikh dads, I want to say that, now on social media, in schools, colleges, wherever you are, wherever your journey is right now, um, whatever you do will have a bearing on your future. So you have to be really, really conscious that you are thinking, being mindful about your future and where you want to go. What you put in now is going to have a massive effect. So that is with your education, with your pragati, with your seva, with the way you treat your parents. These things are going to have a massive effect. You hear your parents say, when you've been naughty in your childhood, you hear your parents say, when you have children, "Tu dekhi ki honda." These things are true. Your parents' words will come. So you need to be really mindful about the choices that you're making, because that will have a profound effect on your future and you becoming, parents yourself. And the two things you need to always keep yourself connected to is your compassion and your passion. So there's a lot of falsehood out there now. So people are losing their compassion because they believe everybody's wrong, everybody's negative, everybody's doing something for themselves. That's not true. And even if they are, our Guru says that Daya is so important. There's a reason why Daya Singh was called as the first Panchara, because that's so important. So keep compassion in your heart always, and keep passion for your Sikhi in your being always. Everything you do, everything you say, everywhere you go, make it about Sikhi. And that, along with keeping a good red, keeping strong sangat, educating yourself with Sikhi, and trying to stay away from, some of the things that may take you away from your Guru. This will lead to you having a much easier journey to adulthood, parenthood, and everything else that comes along with it. So this is my message to the youth, and I know that from my own experience, if someone had told me I should be careful about what I do, what I put on social media when I was young, I think maybe things would have been different for me, maybe not. But I think that some of the challenges I had when I came into Sikhi, they wouldn't have been there from the choices that I had made. So just be really mindful about those choices that you're making, and how they are going to impact your Sikhi later in life.
Quite true. That confides it all. So thank you so much, Sanji. That means a lot to us. You've actually given us a new perspective about what motherhood is and how every one of us, regardless of our gender, regardless of our age, regardless of our phase that we are in life, we can be mothers the way you know, Marriage has taught us.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so much, Sanji.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an amazing seva that you guys are doing, and I support you 100%. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to support where needed.
Thank you so much, Santi. Thank you so much for your love and support.
Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sangat ji, we've learned a lot today. Motherhood is one phase of life which is absolutely celebrated. It's not limited to being a biological mother. Whichever age you are at, whichever gender you are born with, whether you are male, female, whether you are bestowed with the gift of a child or not, you can still be a mother. There are children out there waiting to be parented. Be compassionate. Be passionate about Sikhi and be a mother to them. We need to be conscious about everything that we do. We need to be conscious about the way we speak, the way we behave, the way we think. We need to lead a conscious life and be conscious parents. Sikhi has taught us, Guru Maharaj has taught us, Mata Sahib Kaur has taught us, Bibi Nanaki has taught us that Khalsa Panth is one. So it is not, it shouldn't be like it is my child, but everyone is my child. I'm a mother to every child. Instead of competing among children, we need to be compassionate for them. We need to mother them in every way that we can. Guru Sahib, Guru Saiban, Akal Purakh Ji, they are our mother as well as our father. So motherhood is not actually limited to being a biological mother. Motherhood is actually a set of virtues that all of us can embrace and be the mothers that Maharaj talks about. Motherhood, embracing this definition of motherhood can change the way our Panth is headed to. Thank you so much, Sangatji, for your immense support. We are so grateful and overwhelmed by your love. Sangatji, every speaker at Sikhi Speaks is honored for their precious seva by planting a tree at Neempura, Kharagpur in their name. Sangatji, your support is not only helping human souls connect with Akal Purakh Ji, it is also helping us make this world greener and a better place to live. Keep supporting Maoleyo and the Seva. Please follow, subscribe, and share all of the social media pages and channels of Maoleyo for further updates. Sikhi Speaks would be back with another great personality with a great topic that would help us connect with the Akal Purakh Ji at a better level. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.